welcome to the Thought Brothers. I'm Gary Johnson, aka Mr. Producer. This is a special kind of Thought Brothers edition because we're going to talk about a podcast documentary that was seen last Sunday, community screening called Rooted in the Cut. And it's about the impact of Black barbershops across the country. And one of the things that happens is that a barbershop is more than just a chair and mirrors. And so in many communities, and I can speak for the Black community, and it's probably similar in other communities, but we'll have that part during the discussion. The barbershop is history, it's therapy, it's entrepreneurship, it's a sense of community. And this past weekend in Daytona, to my surprise, we had a standing room only crowd at the Daytona Beach Theater. And I've been getting comments about this movie every day since then. And so it's more than what's been on the screen. I want to talk to you all about your reaction and to the movie, and then what it did for you from any kind of prospect or aspect. So let me start off with Mary. How are you? Tell us about who you are, how you got to the film, and then what you thought. And you can be honest.
My name is Mary Kiernan Ty, and I live in Palm Coast, and I absolutely love the movie. I'm a person that loves documentaries, and it was just so fascinating to watch. It made me very curious. I learned a lot, and just a beautiful film, and just hearing people speak and how important barbershop is to community. I always heard that, but it was almost like being a fly on the wall, that to see what it was like. And it was just beautiful. And I laughed. It was very touching, very moving, made me think. So just quite a lovely, lovely film.
Okay, thank you. Eric Garvin, you were there.
So, Gary, I have three key takeaways. The first one is the way that the documentary opened up. The TED guy talked about the history of the Black barbershop, specifically their role in the civil rights movement. That's number one. Number two, the heartbeat of any Black barbershop is the banter. And there was a scene in the documentary with one of my dear friends, Colonel retired Michael Herndon, Vietnam medevac pilot, and you asked a question regarding the Mount Rushmore of female singers and male singers, and there was a generational divide. There was Michael, a little bit older than I am, and then the younger two barbers there, right? And just having that banter put me back into the barbershop again. And it made me laugh, 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 right? So I really, really enjoyed that because I think that is one of the heartbeats of the barbershop. And Gary, you said this too, right? The barbershop, particularly the Black barbershop, is more than just a place for people to get their hair cut. It is a place for guidance. It is a place for therapy. It is a place to find peace. And it's also a network of Black entrepreneurs on how you may be able to link up with an electrician or whatever the case might be. So it is so much more than just getting a haircut.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Era Train, tell me, how about you? You are the proprietor of the shop, and I'd like to get your reaction being, allowing me, thank you for allowing me to use your shop as one of the venues, the main venue.
Yeah, well, it was basically it was an honor of mine for you to, want to do that with my shop because it's definitely a lot of history with Toney's Barbershop, and a lot of people know it, but it, like, I don't know, so to speak, it gets swept under the rug, as far as the tradition and the history of that shop. And you happen to be a person who came and not even been in Palm Coast long and saw a gem, and you transformed. What I really wish Mr. Toney was here to see this and been a part of this. It would have been a lot more impactful, I think. But Um, for me to be able to be a part of what you put together, uh, I was just able. I was just glad to be able to be a voice for Mr. Toney and the things that he did, in that barbershop. Not only the barbershop that that he established, but the core reason of you doing this, which is to spotlight black barbers around America. You know what I mean? And we it's what compared to where I come from, my barbershop is a little watered down. I want to say compared to the barbershops in like just say up north, because you get, we watered down compared to what actually goes on in the black barbers shops in the black communities in predominantly black communities. So, but just to be able to show that, man, it was amazing. And you made me feel like a star, man. I mean, thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay. All right. I should show some pictures of us at the premiere. You were dressed like a star. But that's for another conversation.
Hey, man, you got to stand up for
That's
the
it.
occasion.
Mr. Spivey, did you have now you weren't at the premiere, but you saw the movie. What's your take?
Kind of like Colonel Garvin, for me, it brought back so many memories. Uh, I can remember the barbershop, and to see the barbershop that Tran has, and to remember the barbershop that I went to as a teenager, it has changed. And I think it has a lot to do with what Tran is talking about with the barbershops like in Chicago and up north compared to the barbershop down in Palm Coast. But it was really interesting. It brought back a lot of memories. I can remember getting a lot of wisdom in the barbershop because you listen to older guys, you listen to younger guys. And one of the scenes in there that really brought back uh, what Colonel Garvin was saying with the generational divide was when you were talking about the Mount Rushmore and the young lady in there. I mean, she was sticking to her guns with the women that she knew, and then to listen to the Colonel, he brought back some real memories when he said Jackie Wilson, Sam Cooke. These young people don't know anything about
About that,
Jackie
right.
Wilson and Sam Cooke. But you take Jackie Wilson, if you ever remember talking to Michael Jackson, he said he learned every one of his moves from Jackie Wilson and James Brown. So the barbershop brought back memories. And then for me also, it brought back a memory because a lot of people don't know, but in 1995, I opened up a beauty salon in Old Town Alexandria in Alexandria, down in Alexandria. And I had it for 7 years. And I started off, I had 6 beauticians. I had one guy who ran the beauty salon for me because I didn't do hair or anything. And his name was Bruce. And I did booth rent, and he ran the place. And it was kind of like Trans Barbershop. Bruce specialized in all kinds of hair. And my barbershop that I opened was in a predominantly white community in Old Town Alexandria. And one day, it was a Saturday, we were standing out front. This young lady walked by, and she had the longest hair I'd ever seen. It was below her butt, going down to her leg. And Bruce said to her casually, "I would love to cut your hair." And she just said, "Well, how would you cut my hair?" And he said, "First of all, I would have to cut it standing up." And it kind of shocked her. He said, "Because your hair is so long." Make a long story short, he cut her hair, and the word got over the entire neighborhood. And when the barbershop closed, the clientele was probably 60-40 Caucasian
Wow.
versus black.
Wow.
And I had it for 7 years, and I enjoyed it. And the lady sold the building. And at the time, 1999, I was getting ready to retire from the FBI in the next year. So I just didn't open another barbershop. But it brought back some real memories.
Okay. Thank you. AJ, thank you for attending. I saw you at the screening.
Yeah, so one of the takeaways that I had relative to the screening, and especially in the days and the times that we're living in right now, was just how the barbershop served as a network, as a bastion of communication between people, really to keep you going. And I think that it's necessary to identify that and honor that. And you say to yourself, well, how does any community, whether it's black or Asian or whatever, survive when you have people getting shot and killed on the street just on their First Amendment right? And I think that this showed us that the way Tran and others talk to the clientele, how people exchange ideas, business communication is part of that element, that channel of survival. And so that's the main thing that I took away.
Okay. Train also has another business a few doors down, a sub shop and an ice cream shop. We may get a chance to talk about that when we talk a little bit about the business aspect in the community. But I want to go to Carlos and then Trish. Carlos.
Hey man, I just want to say, man, great film. Man, Train, man, the barbershop, man, is sending waves up here, up north, man, on what you do down there, man. And when you talked about, me being in management, I'm in financial management now, but during the day, but clients, customer service is what it's all about. And when Train said it's not about the money, man, it's about how you make people feel. And even in my ice cream shop, when I give that scoop of ice cream to that kid and the kid's face lights up, how he does the same thing with his people he puts in his chair to make him feel a certain way. Man, that's powerful, man, because, you think about all the places you can go in this world today to try to get a smile on your face or to feel comfort. And I think a lot of people still, before this documentary, may overlook these barbershop or ice cream shop, but I don't think they're gonna overlook it now. Like you said, Gary Johnson putting it out there, he's making it happen. And I just think it's powerful because as a young man going to the barbershop, I'm in middle school and high school, you just sitting there hearing real talk, man. People just tell you how they really feel. There's no filter. It's not like it's a script. It's not made for TV. It's made for real life. And you just sitting there listening and you're learning about the world. And then there's, as you get into your career and your family and your world and your life, and before you spend $1,000 an hour to go see that man in the office who wants to tell you everything's going to be okay. What Prince say, doctor, everything's going to be okay. Man, you better go to the barbershop because then you're going to get it real. You're going to get comfort from the fact that no matter what's happening in the world of sports, entertainment, politically, you're just going to hear real people talk about real events, and it really makes you feel good down to your soul. So much props to Toney's Barbershop, my man Tran here, for making it go down, and Gary for really highlighting this. It was really something special.
Okay. I want to give credit where credit's due. I met Train through Donna Gray Banks, who called me and said, "Hey, meet me up at this barbershop." I'm like, I don't need a haircut. One night. So I met her up there. She introduced me to Train, and I sat in there, and I'm like, you know what? This is like when I was a kid, all the banter. And I said, you know what? I think I can do something with this. So I have to thank Donna, give credit where credit's due. Trish, I was glad to see you at the screening. What's your take?
Well, I was, first of all, really excited when I got the email from Ralph Lightfoot saying that this documentary was about the Black barbershop. And because I've always heard about what a wonderful place it is, and I've never had the occasion to go into a Black barbershop. And so I was really pleased that, you were going to do this, and it was going to be on Sunday at Cinematique. And so I just was so happy. And the film didn't disappoint at all. What really amazed me, Gary, is that you did it on your phone. I just that just blew me away. But you know, the interviews with the men and the beautician. I don't know. Do you call the woman that what is her name?
Natty.
Natty. Um, is she also? She's a barber, not a beautician.
Right.
Okay, was just wonderful. Very natural, and I learned so much from it. I thought it was wonderful and also poignant, especially your interview with Chauncey at the end and the difficulties of starting a business as a Black man and having to rely only on white electronics, accountant, lawyers. It was difficult, and I think that was really very poignant.
I'm
But
glad you picked that
great
up.
job, great
Yeah, I'm glad
job.
you picked that up because some people were wondering, said, well, wait a minute. I thought this is about barbershop. What are you doing interviewing people who aren't barbers? And I said, well, it's bigger than barbershop. It's about keeping dollars circulating in the community.
Mhm.
And just for people you know.
Yeah.
And so, for example, with this Thursday group that I'm a part of with AJ and Eric, it kind of happens naturally now because someone will say, hey, does anyone know a good electrician?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they'll say, yeah, I know this. So I've had two people come in my home to do work that I got specific references from that group.
Yeah.
And, and when people ask me, I'll go, hey, let me tell you,
You put the bar.
that's what does it, so
Mhm.
it happens.
Yeah. May I just add something?
Yeah.
I just coincidentally this week on Netflix on Blackish, and I don't know, what you think of that particular series, but it happened to have an episode about the Black barbershop, about the barbershop, and it was just on Monday, I think, that I saw it, and I had just been to see your documentary, and it just, it just fit right in. And I was surprised at, well, maybe not really, but how the son and the father go to the barber shop, and the son doesn't go to the barber that the father always has been to, and he goes with a younger barber, and it was like treason, it was like betrayal. And so I thought that was really interesting that each barber has his own clientele. In fact, I don't know if that's always the case, but
My experience has been sometimes I raised two boys, and my barber was always the owner of the shop.
Mhm.
But for the boys, I'm like, I don't really care how they cut their hair. So you just take the first barber available. So, if he's a student barber, all right, get on up there, CJ, and do it that way. So,
that's funny.
oh my goodness. So
Hey, and
train,
then just on the side note,
yeah,
I did want to comment on the presentation as well. But just on the side note, since I got all you wonderful people here that's praying people, um, keep your fingers crossed because yesterday I met with the assistant superintendent, Flagler Education superintendent. I met with her assistant yesterday. Um, it's a Black lady. Her name is Shakia Moore. And right now, what I'm trying to do is spearhead efforts to start the first Black barber school in Flagler.
Oh, wonderful.
Wow.
okay,
Wow.
all
Yeah,
right.
Right.
I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we got the ball rolling and people's ears are open. So I'm going to invite them out to when we decide to do this again on a big scale.
Yeah, it's coming. Discussions. I was going to ask you, Train, what has been the reaction to the video since Sunday? I know I came into barbershop, I think on Tuesday, acting crazy, and with a Mr. Toney shirt on, but I've
Yeah,
heard
no,
I've heard comments every day since Sunday.
Yeah, where everybody that uh, participated and attended that I know have came and basically I haven't heard no negative responses. My barbers, once again, you made they now they I, now I have to detox them because they walking around the shop acting like they just want to. Natty even went so far as to did an AI generated uh, a video of when we were on stage. She did an AI generated video where I came from that picture and held up a award. And like it's crazy,
That's
man.
great.
It's crazy. I don't. I'm man. People loved it. You know what I mean. And you did it. It was done perfectly for what you did, and doing it with a phone. Like I'm looking at a 30 for 30, man. We need to put this on here. Now, I think big, man. I'm not gonna even front, man. I think big, and to be a part of it again, man. I'm ecstatic, and I thank you again.
Well, there has been some talk to have another showing at a larger venue, and so I'll keep everybody in the loop for that. And what I'd like to do for a second showing is to have a panel discussion,
Yeah.
and maybe also have some local vendors
Oh,
who
wow.
we can introduce people to, so people will know, wow, I can circulate my dollars locally here. And have people there, but have a panel discussion about takeaways, because I'm a trainer and a coach by profession, so I'm always looking for the teachable moments to have that, to make it worth people's time. So I was going to ask you all, are there any, and what I'll do for this is, before we leave this show, I want to insert and probably show a few minutes of maybe the generational moment. But what warmed me, because no one had ever seen it, is when I heard people applaud after every scene in that dark room. And I heard people laugh. And we had people like Mr. John Winston, who's been here in the town for a long time, and he was speaking wisdom, and so that warmed my heart when I heard people go, oh yes, and they were clapping. And then during as Eric said, the breakout generational scene, I heard this today. Someone said, Gary, I really enjoyed that, but that Colonel, he really surprised me because he mentioned Prince and Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he did.
And then he ruined it with some Jackie Wilson guy.
Hey, let me ask a question. Gary, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I don't know if you actually know Mr. John Winston's background. But Mr. John Winston has an extensive background, and he's done a lot of big things besides being who he was in the Navy. But he was actually an anchor man for Channel 7 back in the day.
That's what I heard. Yes.
Yeah, he
I heard
was.
He was a news anchor.
He was a news anchor, man, and he covered big stuff. So, and they asked him to speak all the time, all over, because of that fact, man. So you have some powerful people in this documentary, man.
Yeah, and some other people told me that, and these are people in their 70s and 80s, and they said, oh, John Winston is a mentor to me. He mentored me. And so I'm like, wow,
Yeah, he does. He does that. And there's
Yeah.
one person that we left out that I should have talked to you about that would have been good for this podcast. I mean, the documentary, and that's Pastor Reverend Glover. Reverend Glover would have been a perfect person to. He actually presided over Mr. Toney's funeral. Aside from presiding over Shirley Chisholm's
Shirley
funeral.
Chisholm. That's what I heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
This man has been monumental in Flagler Palm Coast AME Baptist Church. Like he got stories, and he would have been a good person for that. So when we
This is not a one and done. So
Yeah.
this is not a one and done, because I've been talking to the owner of the beauty salon, and Val told me, she's ready. And a couple of ladies who go to the salon said, oh, we're ready for you. We're waiting for you. So
Oh, boy.
like, okay,
Competition.
I'm
Well, now
assuming
that
that's
may not be a good
positive.
thing.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's positive. We're waiting for you. So I'll be there. I think I'll be there Friday. Yeah, I'm taking my granddaughter,
Yeah.
so I'll be there Friday.
But
So
Gary,
yeah, go ahead, AJ.
if I could just interject one thing, and I was very impressed by what Train just said. Let me just offer, Train, as the vice president of the NAACP in Flagler County, we would love to help you create that barbershop within the school district. We have very good relationship with Superintendent Moore, so let's hook up offline to see what we can do together in order to make your idea come to flourish.
Wow. I guess I got to
I'll,
come to
Wow.
Palm Coast and get a haircut.
I'll
What's
Man,
wrong
I
try.
down
just
there?
got chill
Hey,
bumps
Gary,
from
got to
that,
stay at your
Carlos.
man.
house. I'm
Carlos,
coming
we're
to
going
get
to take a
cut
field
at the
trip.
famous Tony's Barbershop ran by Train.
Man, I just got chill bumps. I just got chill bumps from that, man. I really did, man. I just got chill bumps from that because the vision is the ideal vision of my a barber school is to offset some of these youth that's coming out of high school with no direction that don't want to go to college. I mean, everybody's not made for that, you know, and everybody don't want to go to the military like I did. But we have a profession where these kids can get out of, and they coming to me every day saying, "Man, I want to go to school," but the school is in Port Orange, and the other school is in Daytona. They don't have cars, so I have an opportunity where I want to provide a situation, an opportunity to where I can train these people and these kids to divert them from wanting to do other things when they come out of high school, and keeping my shop to be able to offer them job placement. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a
Yeah.
big thing. If we can make it work, I'm all ears. Whatever you can
I'll make
do.
sure you two get connected because it's a win-win for the entire community.
That's right,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. So we can
man.
communicate
Man, that's
offline.
man. I'm in tears. I'm almost in tears. That's crazy.
Right.
I want to bring up something that the other barber, Stacy, said during his interview. And Stacy talked about the mentorship and, being able to help shape and mold some of these young men and how proud he felt when some of the people that were young came back. He specifically referenced a guy who wanted to go to the Marines.
Marine, right?
And he came back to show Stacy, hey, look at me, I'm a Marine. But also, and I know Train, I think you do the same thing, there's certain unwritten rules that you all enforce. And Stacy's like, you're not going to come in here with your pants sagging or looking a certain way, And he said, read a book, get off the phone, those kinds of things. And those are things that we need to hear. And sometimes it's hearable from a barber or an outside source than your mother or your father.
Right. And the thing about it is, it has to be done with everything else. It has to be done with tact because, when they come in with their pants low or one thing, I run my shop the way Mr. Toney ran it. I keep the same blueprint that he kept. The music stays mellow, calm. They not no loud talking. I don't even let the kids put their feet on my couch. You know what I mean? But it's done with tact. It's like it's the way that you approach these kids. You can't say, "Hey man, get out of here with your pants. Your pants on the ground. You're looking like a fool with your pants on the ground." You can't just say that. You gotta be able to say it where it's accepted and they understand why it's not to be done. You know what I mean? You gotta say it in a way. You give it to them blood raw, but you can't give it to them like their parents give it to them because nobody wants to be nagged when they're in the barbershop away from their parents. But we have to be able to teach with tact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Now, Train, you have a diverse clientele also. I've gone in your shop. I think I was in there last week and there was an Asian man in the shop. I've seen Latinos in the shop. I've seen white people in the shop. So, I mean, the word is out there that you can just get a good haircut.
Yeah, that's true. I just happen to be blessed enough to have attended two separate and I'm gonna give a little backstory, but it's two separate schools. I went to school for the first time in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and in Colorado Springs, that's straight from Chicago. I was there doing that, and I went through the whole course where we had to learn how to cut all different ethnicities of hair. And then when I got down to the end of the course, where it's time for me to get licensed, I got incarcerated. I was incarcerated, and I stayed incarcerated for 4 years. So um, the hours just was gone, and it took me years and years and years to revamp on that. And once I did, then I was able to take that knowledge along with the next school I went to and have a whole range. So I teach that to my barbers. Everything like Fox never cut Caucasian hair. When he first came in that shop, he told you he had only been there a week. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, I can't cut that hair. I can't." I said, "No, yes, you can. Get in there and cut their hair. And I'm gonna watch you and I'm gonna make sure you don't mess nobody up." And now he's an expert. You can't, so yeah, we all can do it now. We all can do it now. Every one of my barbers, I put money on either one of my barbers.
So,
Okay.
Train,
That's
let me just say this. You mentioned Colorado Springs. It's a place near and dear to AJ in my heart because both of us went to the Air Force Academy. So we know Colorado Springs very, very well. And I'm going to segue into one of the things I think is perhaps the most important thing about a black barbershop from my perspective. For me, as a black man growing up in America, it is one of the safe havens for me. Talking to my wife is a safe haven for me. Talking to my psychologist is a safe haven for me. And I'm going to mention one or two things to you. One, a James Baldwin's quote, right? Which really summarizes the black experience of a black man, right? And he said, to be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be enraged almost all the time. Now I'm gonna drop something else on you guys. Some of you guys, like Carlos might be a little bit too young for this. There was a song, and it's a classic song, one of the first rap songs ever, called "The Message" by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious
Furious
Five,
Five.
right? And it says it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under, right? And what that is describing for us all the hell that we have to go through, right? All the disparities that we have to deal with in America, the injustices. We're 13% of the population, but yet we're 31% of the prison population. We're 13% of the population, but yet we're 42% of the death row population. Blacks, on average, have about 8% of the net worth of whites. Poverty, we're more than double the rate of poverty than whites. Blacks are 6 times more likely to be murdered, and home ownership, 74% whites, 44% blacks, right? Now, what all this translates into a much harder life that you have to deal with, right? And that translates into a lower life expectancy for black males versus whites. White male 76 years, black male 68. So when I say the black barber place is a safe haven, I mean that with all of my heart and my soul because it's more than just sitting in that chair and getting a haircut. Some have said, in fact, Mr. Spivey talked about the wisdom just listening to the older generation talk, right? And having the banter about who's the best basketball player of all time, who's the best. All those things are precious. But more importantly, they help us. They're therapeutic to our souls, right? And it help us navigate this American jungle that we live in. And I think that is perhaps from my perspective, the most important thing about why this black barber shop is so critical. For me, it's family too. And I'll say this and I'm going to end. My wife and I are godparents, right? my barber in Atlanta, he had one son. He asked my wife and I to be the godparents for his son. My barber in Waldorf, Maryland, right? He had a son. He asked my wife and I to be. So it really means a lot to me. And when I lost my son to murder in Santiago, Chile, my current barber here is a Cuban guy. His sister happens to be in Chile, right?
Mm.
And I heard some reports about them actually tearing down the complex where my son was murdered at, right? And I couldn't get independent confirmation from the U.S. Embassy at the very highest levels. So what did I do? I talked to my barber. He talked to his sister in Chile, and within hours, I had confirmation, an article in the paper, and a video of what had transpired. So there's nothing more powerful than that barber network. Nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh, that was
You know,
incredible.
Gary, it was a scene when I looked at the presentation where you asked uh, a lot of the people you interviewed, what did they remember about the barbershop? And a few of the guys, I think one of the guys had a hard time remembering. But
Easy.
Yeah, easy.
people who watch this, they're gonna hear that question and it's gonna trigger a memory that they had. I remember as a young man in the barbershop, I used to go to this older barber, and I was in the barbershop one day, and I was talking about a couple of girls I was dating. And he said to me, he used to call me Little Spivey because he cut my father's hair. And he said, Little Spivey, I'm going to tell you something. He said, don't be running behind all these girls. He said, what you want to do is you want to go to school, you want to get an education, come out of school, get a job. He said, and don't marry now one of these girls until you have your own house,
That's
your
right,
own
man.
car, and your own money.
That's right.
And I remember I graduated from high school, went to college, came back to the Virginia Beach area where I was from, and I started teaching school. And I went in the barbershop and I said to him, because I had been in Richmond for 4 years, I went in the barbershop and I said to him, I got a job and now I'm going to look around and get married. He said, oh, no. Do you have a house yet? I said, no, I don't have a house. He said, you don't get married. He said, you get a house. And after you get a house, he said, get some money in the bank. He said, and then you get married. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh my
when
gosh.
you brought up that question doing the thing, that was the first trigger that came to my mind was that old barber who gave me that wisdom.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, these are powerful stories that you're telling, all of you. Oh my gosh.
And
Powerful.
one of the things that the guy said in the TED Talk, because I was a history teacher before I became an FBI agent. And one of the things the guy said in the TED Talk, the black barbershop during the 60s and the 50s was what kept people together. When they were planning protests, when they were planning sit-ins, you had nowhere that you could do those things except safely, except in a black barbershop.
And the church.
The black barbershop was
the black church. And the black church.
the black barbershop and the black church, they were pivotal during those times of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and those guys.
Wow.
They showed a scene. They showed a scene about that in the movie Barbershop.
Yes.
When they ran, and you know what's so ironic about that? I auditioned for the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I auditioned for the original Barbershop movie. They shot it like right around the corner from my house. But I was with Karen Peaks casting, and I auditioned. I was with the cast and everything. I auditioned for the role of Dinka, the African dude. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I auditioned for his role, but he was a big dude. His character was a big dude, and I was skinny. So when I did the audition, I had to change the words to make me be skinny. It was this big thing. But yeah, in that movie, they was it the second one or the first one when they had the big riot outside and they ran in and Cedric the Entertainer stopped them. No, it was a
Yeah.
flashback. It was a flashback of
Yeah.
how he knew Ice Cube's father, the original owner of Barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped him like, no, not in here, not in here.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So can I piggyback on something that Mr. Spivey said? 'Cause I think that's really important, right? The point that he made about the history of the black barbershop being engaged in the civil rights movement. Uh, I think that presents an opportunity for the black barbershop to reemerge as that force in civil rights. Uh, and let me tell you, the Republicans leveraged that. As many of you may recall, Byron Donalds, the guy who's
Yeah.
running for governor of Florida,
Mm-hmm.
he led an initiative going to barbershops in Atlanta and Philly to
Sure did.
appeal to these black voters, right?
During the
And
election.
as it turns out, they were actually paid, or some of them were paid. I don't know all the specifics, but
Really?
some of them were paid,
Wow.
and some of them were very remorseful in the fact that they got engaged in that. But what they were trying to do was to siphon off just a few percentage points of black voters so that they would vote for Donald Trump. They
Yeah.
were successful in that endeavor, right? And I'm going to call your attention to an article that or Nicole Hannah Jones wrote on June 27th of 2025. And the article was talking about how the Trump administration has rolled back 60 years of civil rights. 60 years of civil rights within months, closing down all the civil rights offices across the federal government, uh, doing a full onslaught assault against DEI and all these other kinds of things. And then, more disturbingly, he's casting white men and white women as the victims, as the primary victims of discrimination, right? So he's like totally flipped the script. So if there's ever a time for the black barber shop to reemerge in that aspect with regard to getting engaged in civil rights, in fact, we talk about the banter, right? There should be a rule, a new rule up in barbershops, an all black barbershop. If you haven't voted, you cannot engage in the banter, right?
Good idea.
That would be my slogan. So I think that they play a tremendous role, and I think this represents a tremendous opportunity for the black barbershop to help black men. And oh, by the way, you look at the statistics of black women voting versus black men, the women spank us all the time, right? So we need to do something, and the black barbershop could play a role in that.
I think if I can interject a little bit, just to I don't uh the way I see because in barber school they teach us that we act as in a certain way. We act as therapists when people sit in our chair, and the thing about it is when you do that as a therapist, you listen to what's being said by your client, but you don't really give your opinion. It's really important that you don't give your opinion on what it is they said, because depending on if whether your opinion uh coincides with what your client is saying or not, it could be real detrimental to they, like, you never know. Something that I might say to my client might cause them to, because of my beliefs, it might cause them to go home and commit suicide. So what we have to do as professional barbers is listen and be that ear for them. You know what I mean? So I've had clients that come that haven't even sat in the chair yet, like white clients that comes in our shop and hear what was going on, because Stacy made a good point when he in the documentary. He made a good point about saying that there's certain things in his shop that he don't discuss, and that's religion and politics. And when Mr. Toney was here, he got up in age, so he really didn't have no say so. Like, he didn't stop nothing that was going on. And a couple of the barbers, they don't have discretion. People don't understand discretion. So when we have white customers that come in the black barbershop, we have to be like careful of what we discuss, because I've had a client that come in with his son and sat there patiently and waited and overheard the conversation that we had. And ironically, it was about Donald Trump. You know, oh man, he can't come here, man. We ain't fuck, man, F Donald Trump and this and that. And by me being the first chair, I watched this client get up with his son, and it hurt me. You know, as a business, I wasn't the owner then. Miss Toney was, but it still hurt me because I was a part of this. To see that white man get up and walk out the door, but before he got out the door, I stopped him. I said, "Excuse me, sir. You good? You're gonna be next?" He turned around and he looked at me and he said, "No, I'm gonna go to a shop where they like Donald Trump." And he walked out. Now, number one, I felt like I don't exactly know how to explain, but that wasn't right. You know, like for us to do that. Number one. Number two, we let money. Number one thing you don't do in the business, you don't let money walk out the house, and we let the money walk out. And my coworkers, they idea was, well, if he want to walk out, let him walk out. We like Donald Trump. No, we have to do it with tact and know how to do it and know when to have discernment. God blesses us with discernment. So we have to know when and when not to. We can't offend people because of, you know, we a black barbershop by default. We can't change that. And I'm a black barber by default. But we never down people for their organizational or religious concepts. Yet we never doubt our own.
Yeah, and Train, let me be 100% clear. I'm not suggesting that you know, divorce yourself from this sacred oath of listening to
Yes,
your
sir.
customer. What I'm suggesting is black barbershops can be a vehicle to get people civically engaged.
Mhm.
That's voting. I'm not subscribing to you who you should vote for. You need to just be civically engaged, right? If
Yeah.
you see that you have a problem with black men voting, right, on a level par with black women, there's an area for improvement, right? And just like you talked about, when the person comes in there and they're sagging, you have to talk to them in an appropriate manner. It's a similar thing, right?
Yep.
So there's not a suggestion that you go in there and say, hey, here's who you need to go vote for. No, this is all about getting people civically engaged. And
Right. Right.
that's really what this discussion is all about.
Yeah, I understand that. I
Yeah,
understand that
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
I understand that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Could I just
Yeah, go
want,
ahead, Mary.
you know, that voting thing, reaching out and talking to people about voting. And not this past election, but the one before, every time I got into an Uber, I decided I would talk to someone about voting and not telling them who to vote for. And I remember one young man in particular, he thanked me at the end because he's telling me he works X amount of jobs and this and that and too. And I said, my father worked 2 jobs too, but he took me down the firehouse when it was voting day. And I watched him vote, and he thanked me at the end. He said, no one has ever sincerely talked to me about voting.
Right.
So I just want kudos to your comment, Eric, because I just think if we just talk to someone sincerely about voting and how to do it, because it's so intimidating if you've never done it or watched someone do it,
Right.
so I really, kudos about that. I agree.
Thank you,
I got a
Mary.
couple shout outs for Train here. Train, first of all, I work with a lot of guys with our 501c3 Alumni Association from the 1950s to 2020s. I speak to graduates of the school I went to in my old neighborhood. And let me tell you something. We've had some guys who have really done some great things in life, and some of them come back and say, hey, things didn't start out the way I wanted them to start out. So I want to commend you, man, for doing all the things you're doing in your community with your shop and even bringing us up to date on where you came from and some of the things that happened to you to let us know you can still give back, you can still make a difference, you can still get that school going. That's powerful, man. I think you need to keep that going. And
Yeah.
then another comment from our legendary mentor and head football coach, who was a community activist. He always told us at the end of every game and at the end of every season, there's a time and place for everything. You have to decide when and where it is. So I commend you also for understanding there's a time and place to say certain things, do certain things, and I also respect you from the aspect of working in finance that you don't let money walk out the door.
Oh no, you can't. I never understood. I never understood why people used to say. Why people used to say the customer is always right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but a lot of times they dead wrong, you know. But
Yeah.
from a business perspective, like having two businesses, look, what do you need? Well, she did this. What can we do to fix that?
Yes.
You know, because I don't want one penny to leave out here because again, it's not about the money right then. It's not about the money. But if you're dissatisfied and I blow it off because you're dissatisfied, okay, I missed that money, but then you're going to leave and you're going to tell 5 more people of
Right.
what you experienced in my business, and they're not going to come. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, and this ain't nothing. It wasn't a book I learned this from. It wasn't nothing. It's trial and error. I don't want this to happen. So I had to talk to my employees about that and everything. I'm a student. I'm gonna stay a student.
Hey,
So
Train, I think you learned that at the barbershop.
yeah, I did. I did. I did.
And
You
So
know what?
Harry,
also,
one thing
Trey, I
about a
think
black
that
barbershop, if you ever wanted to hear any lies, you will hear it in the barbershop.
They lie
You
so
you
much,
you
man.
can always count on that.
I
AJ,
think
what you
too.
got?
I think too, Train and everyone, um, recognizing where we are media wise. I mean, with social network, with the internet, it's not like the old days when you only had 3 news channels, right? It now we're all in our separate silos, and so a part of what you were explaining about that gentleman, he may be in his Trump silo and never had come into an environment where it was anti-Trump. And likewise, we have to understand that, there is obviously 50 some percent of the population likes Trump.
Yeah.
And so how do we communicate with those people to say, yeah, but he's killing us. Yeah, but no, the price of food is high.
Yeah.
Yes, affordability is a word. And so I think that that's very important to take into the barbershop experience also, and training your people that we're all in silos. We're all in our own little information sphere. And Gary, kudos to you, because I think this kind of platform could help to break some of that down. In the
Yeah, it
sense
needs to be
we
bigger.
gotta
It needs
be
to be bigger.
we got to be transformational.
Well, thank you. Given before I close out and go around and get maybe a takeaway I want to show you something. Adrian Burney was the young man who gave the TED Talk, and I had some email exchanges with him. But I just want to briefly show you what he's into, because it's something that we can also do. We can, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Adrian has barberbishop.com, and he also has an academy for barbering, Mended Arrows. And he's taking what Train is trying to do, at-risk youth and young adults, and he's teaching them how to get a skill. So this is something that I can maybe share with Train, and we can learn some lessons that have already been out there from Adrian.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So given the time that we have left, I just want to go around the horn, if you will. And I think this has been a great discussion. I told people when I started this documentary, this is not a one and done. And I wanted it to serve as a platform for discussion, because when people see this, and it'll be on all my different platforms, they'll be saying, oh yeah, that happens here. There's a connection. So I want to start with Eric. What's your takeaway of our discussion this evening, or even the documentary?
I just absolutely love the documentary, Gary. And I think it's one of those things that sometimes we don't recognize just how precious something is until you begin to put a spotlight on it. And you have served our ancestors well. We have a history of telling the story, and you are a master storyteller with regard to this. And I appreciate you putting a spotlight on a black barbershop because for me, it has always been an integral part of my survival mechanism here in America. So I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mary, any thoughts from you?
This is also has been very wonderful hearing everyone speak, and thanks for everyone for, all you do for community, and just it feels like a documentary within a documentary.
Right.
Another documentary right now, but it is also about the power of storytelling because, I can, Gary, I told you this after the film that about memory making, or the last picture I took of my father was him getting his hair cut by his barber,
Wow.
and it was just so touching. He felt really great that day. That's a whole memory for me. But just the power of storytelling. And I sincerely hope that it is shown in Palm Coast, because for me, it was also a bit of an education about Palm Coast community. And I think we need more of that, and talk about civic engagement, that I think it could be pretty powerful because it's such a relatable thing for people. So thank you so much for doing this, and Train. It's just wonderful to hear you tonight as well. So thank you.
You as well. You as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Train. You got the mic.
Okay, well, I could just drop the mic right now because, hey, man, I could drop the mic right now, man, because, man, this whole, I mean, if you know what I went through just to try to make it here on time to this Zoom, I had to pick my daughter. I'm a single father as well, so I had to shut the shop down. I had a cooler go down at the ice cream shop. I got to replace that. I had to pick my daughter up from practice, so it's a lot of things I had to do to get it. But because of you, Gary, you know what I'm saying, I didn't want to let you down and not be here. And because God don't make no mistakes, the Most High don't make no mistakes, and I'm absolutely 100% glad that I made it because all of y'all perspectives on the documentary, and y'all just y'all perspectives on what goes down in the black barbershop, man. I got some insight from it. You know what I'm saying? I really did. Thank you for having me a part of this, man. I feel elated. I really feel honored, man. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Mr. Spivey, aka the researcher.
Well, Gary, I have no research on this. What I'll say is that it was refreshing to see this and to see how you basically brought back a lot of history of black barbershops and a lot of history of things that have gone on in the past. And the reason I say it was refreshing is because right now in the current climate, a lot of things regarding black barbershops and everything else is being erased. So a lot of kids who probably never knew about black barbershops and things that went on, hopefully they'll see this and they'll learn something from it. Because I know that after painfully trying to twist your arm, you finally start putting our podcast on TikTok, which is where all of the young people live.
Yes.
So hopefully this will definitely be an enlightening thing with young people. And hopefully some of them will try to do some research because all of them are talking to the Chat GPT, a co-pilot. They'll try to find out who Sam Cooke and who Jackie Wilson was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. AJ, thank you, Mr. Spivey.
When I think back on just Jim Crow, the 50s and 60s, I always wonder how did we survive? How do we overcome all of that injustice? And I believe the black barbershop was integral as a channel. And that's what I'm hearing this evening. And so I congratulate Train, Gary, on being a part of identifying and amplifying for us that channel here in Palm Coast. And I think moving forward, those of us of conscious, those of us who participate in the community, we want to amplify those channels. Yeah. And so that's what I'm all about. Yes. Is amplifying you, Train, amplifying Gary, amplifying these channels of a voice of people. And so I was happy to participate this evening and look forward to communicating with everybody to see what we can do.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Me too. Me as well.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Carlos.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure tonight. And what I'm taking away is something we all probably should take away. When you think about learning, living, and showing love, think about your local black barbershop.
That's right.
That's where it all goes down. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Trish.
I'm so grateful to you, Gary, for inviting me to come on and with this podcast. And this has been fabulous. And I think this podcast should be a part of the documentary. Yes, this has been this. Honestly, if you showed this after the documentary and have a panel discussion with the audience, it would just
yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Amazing.
That's part of the plan.
Thank you so much to all of you for your insight. I've learned so much. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of you. And, to end, I'll just say tonight we heard stories, not just about haircuts, but about connections. Mm-hmm. And I also heard stories about trust. There's a lot of trust that goes on in the barbershop also. People take risks and that what they say is going to be safe. And so the barbershop is also about what happens when people gather in a space where they feel heard, validated and heard. And it's more than just mirrors and conversation. So I think this conversation tonight was very, very extraordinary in serving that purpose. So there will be another showing in Palm Coast for sure. I'm having some discussions with different venues. And like I said, this is going to be part of, that's why I wanted to do a podcast tonight on this, right on the heels of this community screening. And then as a trainer, that's what I do by profession. I saw an opportunity to have a panel discussion and we can take it deeper and go further. So I thank everyone here tonight. And I will just end by saying, I'm Gary Johnson for this special edition of the Thought Brothers. And until next week, be safe, everybody. Be patient and be kind. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Hang on, everybody. Hang on.
Good night.
Female R&B singers. There are 4 people on Mount Rushmore. Who's your Mount Rushmore of R&B singers? Come on, Natty.
Me, I'm gonna put Ashanti up first.
Okay.
Beyonce, cause she Queen Bee. Then we're gonna have to get the Mary J. I need some old school vibes. And then I'm probably going for number 4. R&B. I'm probably gonna say Jill Scott.
All right, so let's go that again. Okay. So give it to me again.
Okay, we got Ashanti.
Ashanti.
We got Beyonce. We got Mary J. And then who was the last one?
Jill Scott.
You said
we got
Jill
Scott for last.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One. Yeah. Sponsor, please state your name, sir.
Colonel Michael Herndon, retired.
Okay, speak up, Colonel. All right, who's your favorite R&B singers, female, on Mount Rushmore? You got 4.
It's got to be the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin.
Who else is on there? You got 3 others?
Gladys Knight's on there.
Okay.
Anita Baker's on there.
All right.
And what's her name?
Ike Turner's wife?
Yeah, Tina Turner. Tina Turner's on there.
Eat that cake, Annie Mae.
Oh yeah. Now them some bad sisters. Now what's her name? You named her.
Anita Baker.
No, you didn't name Anita Baker. I asked you, you couldn't think of the name.
You already said
I'm
it.
talking about your names.
Natty. How you forget my name?
No, I'm talking about the four people you named.
I named Jill Scott.
Jill Scott. I don't know Jill Scott.
Ashanti.
Who?
Beyonce.
Asante. Yeah, Beyonce. Yeah, Beyonce is country western, ain't she? He said blues.
No, I said R&B.
He said R&B.
We're having
Who
a.
started naming a bunch of things?
Beyonce is country western, ain't she?
She's a little bit of everything, but we're having a generational.
Right.
We're having a generational conversation right now.
Generational.
Yeah, we're having a generational moment here.
Yes.
Beyonce went into country music,
Yes.
Yeah.
but she's still
She's R&B.
she's still Bay. She's still Queen Bee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's Queen Bee.
All right, that's what they call it.
Aretha Franklin is the queen of soul.
All right.
Now, I don't think anybody would argue about that.
Well, some people would.
Really?
Some people would say Whitney Houston.
Well, that's why we're in the barbershop.
That's
So
right.
Everybody got an
opinion.
There's a song for everything.
There's a song for everybody.
Everything. Every feeling.
All right, so Natty, your top 4 males R&B singers.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
You can't put me on the spot like this.
Just
It
did.
is a 4. Well, my top 4 would probably be Train, because he sings all the time. Number 2, because I can't think of many. Y'all can't do me like this. I like Jamie Foxx. I like music like, what's his name? I like
James
Charlie
Brown.
Wilson. I like, one more. What's his name? This is Michael Jackson, because he got all the good old school music too. But we play all the genres, all the old school hits. So
Okay.
yeah.